What's up?
What's up? What's up? What's up? Matt Brown in the building. You had to do a sit, buddy.
Yep, heading to
I didn't know you did sits on, what's today, Friday? I thought you only did sits on Tuesday.
just got some catching up to do.
Closes 3,000 on Tuesday and then takes the rest of the week to just, hang out with the kids. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. Wait a minute. Okay.
Oh, not only was I asked,
What?
I believe it's going to be a good, nice second step of the process. And, we went over a lot last time. We went over a lot. And we'll recap that. We'll recap that for sure. And then this will be very essential, especially for the newbies. And Ashley might be a little bit of a refresher for you. And we're going to get this down pat. Matt Brown, maybe a little bit of a refresher for you because I know. What's up? Yeah, you can come. All right. We're going to give it a couple minutes just so you guys know. What's up, Rebecca?
Hey.
Lady Beast. We got Ashley Mesa. She's ready for the field already. Probably already had 3 sits. Everybody else just woke up. No, I'm just kidding.
Just one so far.
No big deal. So
Just one.
We got Steven in the building. Spidey Man. Real men wear pink, he said. Every time you know. We got Melissa in the building. Waiting to see that beautiful face. Cody White. Shelly Ty. Matt Jans. Blake Rodriguez. Just kidding. We got Jacqueline. What's up, girl? So we'll give it a couple more minutes. I know, to be honest with you, I've been starting these at 10:05 just because I feel like people are just, we should be early. We should be on this early. I know my team's usually on here early. I appreciate you guys for that. And Jackie's been early. You know what I mean? Blake's always on here early, stuff like that. So I appreciate you guys for doing that. Okay. Will you grab Eric Reich or anybody out there that should be on? Okay, cool.
Good morning, everybody.
What's up, Javon? We're giving it a couple minutes just so you know, Javon. I know you guys all want to look at Matt Brown's pretty face and everything like that, but we'll get started here in a couple minutes. All right. What's up? What's up? How's it going, Austin? Okay. All right. We're just giving it a couple minutes. Like I said, I've been starting these at 10:05 just for, I know we're waiting on Brooke. I'm sure you want to get Brooke in the building. I got Rebecca on. Maybe someone hit up Amira if she's feeling okay. I know she's, down with something crazy. So, who else? Brooke. We got, Sarah should be on this. Kelsey Carpenter. People like that. All right, we're going to give it 2 more minutes, guys. Get your notes out. Get ready to rock. I'll do a recap of last week, and then we'll get started. 2 minutes. All right. Tell you what, it's 10:06, one an extra minute. So I'm definitely going to get started. And this was upon request because of the numbers, So I know I don't like talking to pictures. So if you guys can show those beautiful faces, definitely, I always say this every single time, but note takers are money makers. I can't emphasize that enough. And then also remember, knowledge is not power. It's the implementation that truly creates that power. Okay. So I want you guys to take really good notes. Okay. I say this with humility. The only reason why, not the only reason, but one of the main reasons why I'm able to add things to the script and implement this stuff is because of workshops like this. I swear to you, in my first 3 months, this was vital. First 6 months, vital. Okay. So I encourage you guys, take some notes, grab something to take notes with, record it if you want. It is recorded from Tommy. Just to recap, guys, we went over a lot last week. Actually, it was Tuesday. We went over a lot. We went over literally sales, the definition. We went over the psychology behind sales, internal objections versus external objections. We went over proactively beating rebuttals. We went over trust and credibility. We went over all of that. Upon request, because of the numbers, we need to go over the most important thing in our business, and it's referrals. Okay. We are in one of the most inconsistent businesses. Let's just call it what it is. I never know if that appointment on Friday is going to be my appointment. Letting people in real quick. I never know if that appointment on Friday is going to be the appointment that's going to show up or the appointment that's going to be the sale. I never know what my exact paycheck's going to be for the week. I never know whether someone's going to be on time. I never know if, I never know if that guaranteed appointment that I thought was going to be the best of the best ends up even being able to qualify, right? There's a lot of inconsistencies in the business, right? But a sure way to get consistency in a very inconsistent business is to be consistent with our attitude and our effort. But we have to give 110% on both with rolling referrals. Hats off to the team. They did 113 appointments. It's never been done on our team. So hats off to you guys. Congratulations. I'm freaking excited for that. 113 appointments, okay? But I'm still not happy. I'm still not satisfied because out of those appointments, only like 10 were referrals, okay? Now, there's 5 different ways to get referrals, right? We have the discount card. We have the child safe. We have, the will we can do. We have contingent beneficiaries. We have VIPs. But the best of the best referrals are going to be the contingent beneficiaries and the insurance referrals. This is what I lived off of when I chased top producer. This is all I lived off of. Half of my sales were referrals. Half of my sales were leads. It got to a point where actually I was selling more referrals than I was leads. Okay. So you got to get this consistency down. Think about this. Are you sick of having 2 appointments on the schedule and literally having 1 sit? Are you sick of getting no-showed? Are you sick of sitting down with, let's say, Joe, who's sitting there like this half the time, right? Trust me, we'll break down those barriers. But the referral, and this goes hand in hand with what I talked about on Tuesday with building that trust and credibility. Referrals already have that trust and credibility, okay? They already have that built in with them. They almost feel obligated to buy, and I'll show you why, okay? So some of you guys might not know, especially someone like Brooke, brand new, right? A lot of you guys don't even know what a contingent beneficiary is, right? So we know our child safe referral. We know our supplemental discount referral. We know those. Those are great. Still keep getting those, okay? But a contingent beneficiary referral is the best referral that we possibly can collect. Okay? Half of our schedule needs to be referrals. In order to get those, you're going to have a higher closing ratio, a higher show ratio. You're going to have a bigger need, right? You're going to have a shorter presentation. What's up, Blake? You're going to have a lot more. I'm just letting people in. So with this contingent beneficiary, you're going to have a lot more success. You're going to have a higher closing ratio, higher show ratio, higher everything ratio. Okay? It's going to increase our numbers by almost double. You're going to set yourself up for 2-3 guaranteed sales a week. If we're not getting 2 just layups a week, it's because we're missing the contingent beneficiaries and also the VIPs. So here's how we do it. I'm going to give you the exact script I use. And my team has probably heard this aside from some of the new people and maybe Austin, who's been, on a couple of these, but this is something that's we have to use. We have to use, guys. Yep, definitely you can record it for sure. So when it comes down to the contingent, this is most applicable at the very end of the presentation. Don't do it toward the beginning. Don't do it toward the middle. Do it at the very end. That's when it's most applicable, okay? When you're pretty much wrapping things up, okay? So this doesn't take much extra effort too. It's literally, it'll probably double your production today if you implement this today, and it doesn't take much extra effort, okay? So you get what's called a PSR form. That's a policy service request form. It's a policy service request form. There's a fillable one as well, but this is the actual hard copy. Okay. And if you look right here, there's a section, it says beneficiary, and then there's a contingent beneficiary. Okay. So you need to explain to them toward the end. You say, all right, guys, now one of the last things we're going to do for you, okay, is we're going to align what's called your contingent beneficiaries, Joe and Mary. Dummy it down for them. Say, now, Joe, God forbid, if something were to happen to you, it's going to go to Mary. Okay. If something were to happen to you, Mary, it's going to go to Joe. Now, God forbid, if something were to happen to both of you guys in like a common accident, or if God forbid something were to happen to Mary first or Joe first, the company requires. Make sure you say the company requires. Don't say what we want to do. You have to be precise with your verbiage. What the company requires is for there to be a third and a fourth, even a fifth contingent beneficiary for both you, Joe, and for you, Mary. So you want to get 3 backup beneficiaries for Joe and 3 backup beneficiaries for Mary. Okay. Now, they have to be above 18. If they try to put someone that's like, their kids or something like that, that's great. We can definitely put them as one of the beneficiaries as well, but they do require us to put at least 3 for you, Joe, that are above 18, and 3 for you, Mary, that are above 18. Now, here's how I used to do it. I used to just get 3 in total. And here's what would happen. I'd get Joe and Mary's dad and mom, and then I would get like one of the kids. Now I get 3 from Joe, and now I get Joe's parents and maybe one of their kids, and now I would get Mary's parents. See, they're going to have 2 separate ones. Okay. So, all right. So make sure that you get 3 upon each. Now I'll repeat that too, just make sure we got the verbiage down. Make sure you bring up the concern too. You say, guys, as I mentioned earlier, there was $1.71 billion worth of life insurance that went unclaimed last year alone. Bring up the concern of why we're doing this, or else they're going to be like, why do I need 3 here, 3 here, right? So 1.71. Use exact. Don't say 2 billion. Sounds like you're making it up. There was 1.71 billion. You think they're going to question us if we say 1.71 as opposed to like 2 billion, right? So $1.71 billion worth of life insurance went unclaimed last year alone. So guys, we're going to be making sure the beneficiaries are lined up, and we're going to put a third, fourth, even a fifth contingent beneficiary. God forbid if something were to happen to both of you guys. Okay, really explain that to them. And then you just list it down. So who are we going to put first for you, Joe? We'll start with you, Joe. We'll start with you, Mary. Write down 3. Now, if you notice on this PSR form, there's actually no part for a phone number. So make sure you put the phone number as well. The other key tip here, guys, is make sure you get, so if they put their son, let's say, okay, awesome. Now, does your son have a wife? Now, make sure you say proactively, they're not going to be on the policy or anything like that. Just got to make sure if we end up, when we end up calling Mary, I don't want to have Joe pick up and, or her husband pick up and me just call him sir and be rude or something like that. So what was his name? Just so I have it down. Okay. Make sure, because one thing they're going to, they might say is, oh, I don't want him on the policy, right? So make sure you proactively, just a little side note there, proactively say, what's your son's wife's name? She's not going to be on the policy or anything like that. Just when we call him up, we don't want to be rude and just call her ma'am or anything like that. So what was her name? Sarah? Okay, great. All right, awesome. And what was, they live around here? Okay. And what was their phone number? Is it 814 like you guys? Make sure you're assuming it, right? 814. Don't look at them. You say 814, right? Don't even look at them. Look at the paper. 814-247-6621. Okay. And that's your daughter. All right, great. Who's going to be the last 2? Okay, we got 2 more, right? Get 3 from each, okay? Then this is crucial. This is the crucial part. That's the easy part. Okay, that's the boring part. That's the part that sucks. You got to sit there. You got, okay, right? But here's the part that's very important, guys. Okay, so you say, all right, guys, so it looks like we got this, and this. We got this, and this. Guys, what the company requires us to do, we have to make sure 2 things. 1, we have to make sure that your beneficiaries accept the responsibility of being a beneficiary on the policy. We have to make sure that they accept the responsibility of being a beneficiary on the life insurance policy. And if they accept that, which obviously they will, what we need to do, not what I want to do, right? What we need to do is we need to make sure they get the claims forms. We need to make sure they get the claims forms and all the necessary forms to file an actual death claim. We need to make sure that they get the claims forms. Make sure that we get the claims forms, the proof of death forms. I'll repeat that. I know, Rebecca, yours just popped off. I think your Wi-Fi went out like last time, so all good. But so what we need to do is we need to make sure that they receive the claims forms, the proof of death forms, and all the necessary forms to file an actual death claim. Now, and then this is key. This is how you roll it. A rolled referral is when you actually call them from the home or from the Zoom, okay? Now, in the home, this is easy. In the home, it's easy. Through Zoom, if they're on the phone, and they're doing the Zoom, you got to try to finagle your way around this. You got to have a wife do it, or you got to be like, hey, go ahead and give them a call. You can call them while you're on the phone, right? It's going to be a little different, but you have to do it. You have to roll it. Because 9 times out of 10, do people answer our numbers? Probably not. People don't really answer our numbers. The whole point of having them call is if their son called son called dad, probably going to answer. If dad called son, probably going to answer. But if I call Joe, he's not going to answer, right? So get them to call.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely, girl.
What if, because a lot of times we're doing our sits at like 9, 10 o'clock at night. I don't want to be like, go ahead and call him because, it's 10 o'clock at night. Do I tell him to just call him in the morning or something?
Good question. Good question. I think you might remember from the last sit we had a sit, and she knows, we're out there till 11, 12, whatever it takes. And I actually was posting in the chat. I said, hey, don't roll these tonight because it's a little bit later. Remember I was saying that? So if it's like 10 o'clock at night, of course, be courteous to their sleep schedule. And you're probably not going to roll it right then and there. Good question. That's a good question for everybody because I've done that at like 11 o'clock and they're like, some people are cool with it. They're like, oh no, I want to call my brother, right? I'm going to wake his butt up, right? So, but yeah, I would give more of a like, hey, I know it's a little later, so we're probably not going to call him today, but they definitely we'll give them a call because we have to get them on our schedule. They have to receive the claims forms, the proof of death forms, and all the necessary forms to file an actual death claim. Okay, so if it's not 12 o'clock, here's what you say. You say this. You say, all right, guys, now real quick, what we have to do, like I said, we have to make sure they accept the responsibility, and we need to make sure they get the claims forms, proof of death forms, all the necessary forms to file an actual death claim, because we can't fall in that statistic of all that money going unclaimed. So real quick, are you able to do me a favor? That's how you got to ask. Are you able to do me a favor? Because what do you think they're going to say? No? They say, oh, yeah, sure. I'm like, nothing crazy. You don't have to make me dinner or anything like that. But what I need you to do is go ahead and call your beneficiaries. Let's start with your son, Billy. Okay. Even if he's at work, go ahead and leave him a voicemail and we'll make sure we get him on the schedule. So go ahead and just give him a call real quick. You see how I proactively beat the only thing they can tell me? The only thing they can really say is, he's at work, right? So you say, go ahead and call him real quick. Even if he's at work, just go ahead and leave him a voicemail. I can't tell you how many times, I make people call and they're like, he's at work, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, just go ahead and call me. We have to leave a voicemail. And they'll call them and they answer every time. It's almost every time they answer. Okay. If you want to be a freaking rainmaker, like Austin did the one day, she wrote over $6,000 in one day. Here's how you do it. You sell somebody and then you roll their beneficiary for the same day, like she did, sell them. And then she had another sit and sold them too. Went 3 for 3. That's how you be a rainmaker. I used to do that stuff all the time. I'd be like, treat it like it's a game. Like I looked at Ashley Mize's schedule and Ashley she's like, Gio, I'm so booked up. I have a 7 to 9, a 9 to 11, 10 to 12. Like every hour was taken up. And I said, well, that's great. You're freaking doing awesome. You got 7. Let's do 2 more. And I said, let's treat it as like it's a game, right? I said, you're going to try and get the 6 to 8 and the 7 to 9. That's going to be your game. So throughout the day, you got to think like, all right, I need to get these 2 filled up so that I can successfully win this game. So Austin knew that she didn't have an appointment, right, from whatever, 4 to 6 or whatever time it was. So what she did was like, shoot, I didn't book yesterday for this time frame. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to book for the same day and I'm going to get them on. Guys, contingent beneficiary trumps everything. If I have a contingent beneficiary and I have a union member, I will prioritize the contingent beneficiary and reschedule the union member if I have to. It always, especially, oh my gosh, a rolled contingent beneficiary for that day, it trumps everything. Everything. It's a guaranteed sale. Guaranteed sale. Here's what happens. I sit down with, let's say, Joe. I go sit down with his brother, Antonio. I don't know. It's my dad's name, so that's the first thing that came to my mind. So I sit down with Joe, his brother. So he gets coverage. And I sit down with Antonio, his brother, and I tell him, I say, hey, obviously, he didn't want anything to fall on you, Antonio. And what he did was he set up the life insurance through his union. And more or less, he wanted to just make sure the stuff didn't fall on you or your family. Now, what is he going to think? His brother is going to want to return the favor. He's going to be like, shit. Well, if something happens to me, who's that going to fall on? It could fall on my brother. Okay. One time I told my trainee, he's like, man, I don't know if I can do the contingents. I said, listen, roll out with me. I said, we're not going to book any appointments except for this one. And he told me, he said, this appointment is rough. He's like, the lady was mean, this, that, and another. I said, watch this. So we walked in, sold them. I made them give me 6 contingent beneficiaries, which were all their kids. I literally, you know me, when I call, I'm never like this. It's hard for me to just, I'm like this, walking around the house like this. He's talking to them. I rolled all 6 contingent beneficiaries. Their sale was 1,100. We got another 6,000. The only person was one person that didn't buy, but 5 out of 6 were a sale for 6,000 extra ALP. That's $7,000 right there. You make $3,500 in one sit. Not only do we need more, we need more from. So it's like we'll get one person stems to another person. Those people stem to another 2 people. It keeps stemming off people. So we have to treat it as like you want to get a lead, but you want to get the lead pregnant. You want to literally make a bunch of babies out of the leads. You know what the best thing about getting a sale is, but also the worst thing is you just met your best client, which is awesome. You took care of them. Guess what the worst thing is? Now you got to go find your best client again. You just got your best client. Now the thing that sucks, you got to go find another client, right? So contingent beneficiaries are the way to go. And this is what drives me nuts when people don't take an FOC pic or a picture with the client. The reason why I do that, I said this on the workshop yesterday, well, for the whole agency, I had a picture one time of me and like 6 babies like this. Me and just 6 babies like this, right? They took a picture of me. I was scared to death I was going to drop a baby, right? But they're like, oh, take off my face. I was like, all right, let's go. So they take a picture of me, right? And when I went to that beneficiary, I'm like, hey, guys, you know these kiddos right here? And I showed them the picture, and it was instant trust. Remember, people believe what they see, not what they hear. I could have said, hey, I had a picture. I was holding all the babies. They might think it's funny. But when I show them a picture, they're like, holy moly, that really did happen. It's like when people say they went to the gym. I'm like, show me a picture, bro. I don't believe it, right? You got to show people that freedom of choice picture or that picture you took with the client. It's going to build instant trust and credibility, and they're going to love you, right? Now, we went over the why we're there for my team on what to say on a contingent beneficiary. But I'm going to go over the phone call and then the sit. Okay, we're going to connect the dots here because once you call them, they call. As soon as they pick up, you say, hey, I'll tell you what, I'll talk. If you're doing it through Zoom, put them on speaker. And here's what you say. You say pretty much the same thing. You say, let's say it's Bill. It's the brother Bill. Hey, Bill, this is Giovanni over at American Income, your brother Joe's life insurance company through his union. How we doing? Good. The only reason why I was giving you a call, we've been with your brother probably longer than we should have. He showed us all of his cats and Mary's cats. I swear, Mary's one cat away from being the cat lady. I don't know, right? So get them to laugh, show them that you built some rapport with them and that you've been there having a good time. Then you say, all right, so, but the primary reason why I'm giving you a call is your brother, he actually enrolled and has had an insurance policy with us for quite some time through his union, okay? And 2 things. What we need to do is 1, he puts you down as a beneficiary, so we need to make sure that you accept the responsibility of being a beneficiary. Do you accept that? Yes. Okay. Since you accept that responsibility of being a beneficiary, what we need to do is, as busy as we are, we've been running around like a chicken with our head cut off. It's been 147 members, we've been servicing the police, firemen, teachers, pipe fitters, steel workers. What we need to do, as busy as we are, we need to make sure that we go over the claims forms, proof of death forms, all the necessary forms to file an actual death claim. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to figure out, are you and your wife still working the day shift? Get them on the schedule. All right, here's key though, at the end, you want to tell them this. All right, guys, well, I'll tell you what, we got you on for tomorrow, anytime between 7 and 8. I'll be excited to meet you, put a face to the phone call, right? Now, the great thing is too, for being a beneficiary on the life insurance policy, you're actually going to be able to have access to the same exact program as your brother. and you don't even have to worry about those union dues. Now, everybody that we sit down with, they try to qualify for the union program. It's just the problem is not everybody can qualify for those. So I'll be able to go over that with you tomorrow, and we'll be able to get you squared away, okay? Just throw that in there at the end, because the last thing you want is for them to think that you're just going over paperwork. So at least tell them, and then here's the thing, treat it like a lead, Blake. I know you got a question here.
Oh,
But,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
can you just repeat the verbiage for that?
Yeah, for sure. So on the call, right? Or the very end?
Yeah, at the end of the call, for being a beneficiary on Joe's policy, you actually, yeah.
Yeah, so awesome, guys. So I'll be looking forward to putting a face to the phone call tomorrow, anytime between 7 and 8 for you and your wife, Sally. Now, the great thing is about the program, the great thing is about being a beneficiary on your brother's life insurance is you're actually going to be able to have access to the same exact program as your brother. And you don't even have to worry about the union dues or being a part of the union. It's just the problem is, obviously everybody always tries to qualify for the program, and not everybody can qualify for your brother's program. So we'll be able to go over that with you tomorrow. Like I said, anytime between 7 and 8, we'll be looking forward to getting you guys all squared away. Okay? Just throw that in there at the end. That's the game changer. You know who went over this with me? In 2017, Simon Arias went over this with me. He had a one-on-one with me. And you know what? He could have talked about anything. And you know when he went over it? He said, contingent beneficiaries, I know you're not doing them. He's like, you'd have 3 sales lined up. I was like, contingent beneficiaries? I never really worked with those. And he's like, for goodness sakes. That's what he told me. He's like, for goodness sakes, I knew you weren't doing them. And that was the year I was the top producer. And I would honestly say it's because of that. I swear to you. This is why I harp on this stuff, because it's so easy. It really is. It's systematic. You got to get the verbiage down. And don't be that person like, Gio, I tried it one time and it didn't work. No, you have to try it over and over and over and over again. One kid got released on the team, and he sat down with a family, sold them for $1,000. He rolled 2 contingent beneficiaries, sold those 2 people for $1,000 each. My dude went 7 for 7 on his first week released and wrote $7,000. And everybody's like, how the heck did you do it? He said, I don't know. I just sat down with this person and I rolled 2 contingent beneficiaries they bought. And then they had 2 contingent beneficiaries, right? He just rolled and rolled and rolled. How can someone that's brand new, there's no way he could be better than someone that's been here for 6 months. He just literally ran that play call, right? It's like a Hail Mary. Works. So did you get that last part though, Blake? Everybody good on the verbiage? Okay, good. So then now we actually sit down with them. Okay, so connecting the dots, right? You get the PSR form, you have them write it down, you make them call, and then when you call, you make sure you tell them, hey, I'll talk to them. Because you don't want them to be like, hey, I got this insurance guy here. He said you had to be the beneficiary in the policy, and they're like, Mom, I'm at work, I gotta go. Like, you don't want that to happen, or them to mess. They're gonna mess it up. They don't know what they're, it's not their fault. It's not their fault at all. They're not trained on this stuff. You know what I mean? So go ahead and give them a call real quick, even if they're at work. Just go ahead and leave them a voicemail. And when they do pick up, I'll just go ahead and talk, Joe. Don't even worry about it. I'll take care of it. I'll make sure that they know what's going on, and we'll make sure we take care of you guys. Think about what good service you are doing for them. Guys, if $1.71 billion of life insurance went unclaimed last year alone, that means that someone that we sit down with, they can fall into that statistic. So it's actually us giving them a good service and keeping our A+ rating so that that money doesn't go unclaimed. Do we want them, their hard-earned money that they've been paying monthly for years, do we want that to go unclaimed and not pay out to their family? The primary reason is because a lot of family members, people will get policies, they'll put them in the attic, they haven't looked at them in 50 years. How they expect the grandkids to know where it's at? This is a true statistic of what's happening. So it's our job to give them a good service. And on top of that, most of the contingents we sit down with, they don't have life insurance. They're now never thought about it before in their entire lives. Now we sit down with it and they're like, dude, my brother got it. How many times I'll be like, I want to get tinted windows on my car. Who do I know that's got tinted windows? Oh, you know what? Blake has tinted windows. I'm just using that as an example. I'm going to call Blake. Hey, where'd you get that tint, man? Oh, yeah. Did you like them? Okay, cool. Boom. I didn't have to look up anything. I just thought of who had tint. So now they haven't thought about insurance ever. Their brother just got it through their union program. You make it sound sweet because you guys got the best pitch ever. Sells itself, right? All right. Then now that when we actually sit with them, the only difference, okay, because we have to understand these small little nuances for a pitch. The control stays the same. Rapport stays the same. The only variable to any pitch, whether it's a child safe, will kit, contingent, the only variable that varies is the why we are there. For a union, you guys know, I went over this yesterday. The why we are there is because their group place benefits, they're not going to be there forever. So our job is to enroll them into their permanent additional. It's not like that with a contingent. It's a different why we're there. The reason why we're there is different than a child safe. So here's the reason why we're there. This is what you say. You say, feel bad, I'm not looking at the people that are here. I feel like I need another camera here. No, okay. But yeah, so more or less, here's what you say. So you sit down with them, you say, all right, guys, I'll tell you what, I can probably talk to you all day. But as you can see, we got like 3-4 members after you, and I know you guys are busy too, so I'll go ahead and get started. So just like I said over the phone, guys, the reason why we're here is because you were listed down as a beneficiary on your brother's life insurance, okay? What that means is that if something, and dummy it down, something were to happen to Joe, God forbid, it goes to Mary. If something were to happen to Mary, it goes to Joe. Something happened to both of them, you would be listed as a contingent backup beneficiary. Does that make sense? Make sure that stuff makes sense to them. Because remember, they don't know this stuff. We got to break it down for them. Does that make sense? I told somebody they were the beneficiary and they were like, wait, why wouldn't it go to their kids? Why wouldn't it go to, you got to dummy it down for them. All right. And then they say, yeah, it would go to you, God forbid, something would happen to both of them. Does that make sense? Okay, great. Now, the great thing is too, Joe and Mary, this is what's very, very important. The great thing is too, Joe and Mary, is for being a beneficiary on your let's just say dad, for being a beneficiary on your dad's life insurance policy, you're actually able to have access. You're actually able to have access to the same exact program as your dad. People always make fun of me and Tommy because we're like, so like, as your dad, right? You gotta like really like slow it down. We're talking too fast sometimes. So you're actually able to have access to the same exact union program as your dad, and you don't even have to be a part of the union or pay union dues, and you're actually able to have access to it. Now, the problem is everybody we sit down with, they try to qualify for the same exact program as your dad. It's just the problem is not everybody can't qualify. And this is key. You say, but I just promise your dad that if you can qualify, that we would have to get you squared away today. Is that fair enough? Does that make sense? Now you got the link between his dad. I promised your dad. It's like, hey man, the only reason why I'm here is because your dad sent me out here, really. Right? And I tell them when I get the names in here, I say, you have my word, you have my promise. I'm going to do my best to get out to them. Okay? Now, here's how it all ties in. Because after that, I go over the VIBs, and I turn these into insurance referrals anyways. I get the permission without even asking for it. So here's how I get the permission without asking. I do that, right? I sit down with them. That's my verbose. Does that make sense? Is that fair enough? Then I go into the pitch. Now, I don't go into the whole pitch. I give them a little intro of the company. I go over the claims paperwork, and then I go over the will and tell them they have access to the will. And then I go into terminal life needs analysis. Okay? I don't go over the supplemental, the child safe. I just go over the will. Okay? Then make that transition. But once I'm done, so let's backtrack. Once I've got the list here, and then now I'm back in the home, the original home. This is most applicable at the end, right? I get the names, roll it, right? I put this, or actually, I flip this. I flip it over, and I write down what? VIBS. VIBS. It's an acronym, stands for value, important, brainstorm, and suggestions. You can tell Daniel drives the truck. He's like, boo, boo, boo. As he's driving, his hair is just so perfectly slicked over, it doesn't even move. No, okay. But yeah, so VIBS. That's exactly why you're not supposed to sit there. No, I'm just kidding. You can put it right. VIBS, value, important, brainstorm. That's probably not a good spot to put it, I guess, apparently. But value, important, brainstorm, and suggestions. Is it broken? No.
Hey, Gio, real quick, before you move on to VIBS, can you just go over exactly the structure of what you go over in that referral or, beneficiary meeting? And you say you pretty much just go, you have the upfront contract and then you go into the will kit?
Yeah, good question. So here's the sequential order of it, okay? I'll start with control as always, rapport, the why we're there. First is they're the beneficiary. Second, they're able to have access. Good question, Blake. Obviously, you want to get this down. Please stop me if you have any questions. I know I talk fast sometimes, but yeah, so you go over that. And then directly after that, I go over the freedom of choice, because this is what the beneficiary is going to use, to file the claim and things of that sort. I go over the claims forms. I go over the claimant statement forms. All I tell them is that, hey, you're gonna fill these out. Those are in there. I don't really tell them a whole lot with these. Say, hey, these are claimant statement forms. Those will be in your folder as well. You'll fill those out, God forbid, when that day comes. And I just put it in there. Then I say, for being a beneficiary as well, set your dad up with this as well. This is actually a living will and testament you're going to be able to have access to, and it's actually going to help out with the beneficiaries. We actually had your dad put down the beneficiaries as well on his. So you'll see him, like I kind of explained that I set it up for dad and that the beneficiaries were listed on there. That way they'll be set up as well. Now there's a portion in here that is the estate information. And that's where I ask if they have life insurance. I say, the only thing you don't list, obviously the work covers, blah, blah, blah. And I say, now, did you guys have any life insurance outside of work? If they say no, most of the times they say no. I say it's 2020 now. Pretty much everybody we sit down with has life insurance. I go right into term and whole life. Okay. So the will, term and whole life, that's the only sequential difference, really.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So
So,
strategic, I love it.
For sure, dog.
like, I thought we only give them the full-blown will if it's like a will kit lead. Like, you still go over family information guide or anything like that?
Yeah, you can use the will. You can use the will. I like using the actual will because it just looks more official than the family information guide. Family information guide is what I used to use until we had the will, and then I'm like, this is just a little bit more official. So if you can use the will kit, if you can't, like you don't have access to one, you can use the family information guide.
So you would actually send them the green side, you do go over the blue practice workbook? Or?
I just send them one. Good question. I just usually send them one. If it's an actual will kit, send them both, the workbook and the actual physical real copy. If it's not a will, or I'm sorry, not a will kit lead, then I'll just send them one, just the physical one, the green one. Okay, good question. Any other questions before we move forward? Okay, cool. Good question. And then so I'll go over the will, then term and whole life needs analysis, and then they pretty much just pick an option. Actually, if you guys saw in the group on Sunday a couple weeks ago, I lined up my schedule with 9 referrals. That's what I did. I posted in the group, remember that? And I said, guys, I don't have a single lead on the schedule. 9 referrals, watch what happens. First deal was 4,000 ALP. It was a contingent beneficiary. They were like best friends. Hey, he put his best friend as a contingent. He skipped out on his family. He said, I don't want anybody else, just my best friend. They went on vacation together. They did this. And guess what? The sale I got prior to that, the birds of a feather flock together. If you get a 4,000 ALP, guess what you're going to get from the referrals. You guys know my deal size is usually 2,000, 3,000. I don't think I usually do anything less. So it was 4,000, and I didn't roll the contingent actually. Too late. I ended up putting the contingent on. They were 3750 to be exact ALP. So people that usually make good money, you want to get more referrals off those people. In lower income areas, I'm not trying to, but here's the reality of it is, it's not being a dick. It's this. What value are we bringing to somebody if they don't buy the life insurance? When they die and it doesn't pay out, what value did I actually bring to that home if I didn't enroll them into life insurance? Because the sad reality of it is, if we don't enroll them, there's no value, there's no payout, okay? So if I'm sitting down with someone that makes a little bit more, I want to get a lot of referrals because I know I'm going to help more people. Some of these lower income areas, they'll give you everybody, they'll give you Facebook, they'll give you all these people, but here's the thing, they know somebody that has some money as well, or that can afford something like this. And those areas are rough too, so they need it too. So don't give them a disservice. But I'm saying, if you get a 4,000 ALP deal, you better freaking roll referrals off that stuff. Because I can guarantee you there's another 4,000, another 3,000, another 2,000, all around the corner. One family I sat down with was the Ferrobaugh family. I'll never forget them. They had 18 kids. You know what's crazy? As a policy owner, sat down with them. I said, 18 kids? He's like, yeah. I was like, how'd you have 18 kids? He's like, well, Gio, I would have one a year. Anytime we skipped a year, we would just double up next year. So he said to me, I'm like, holy moly. He's just laughing. He's like the happiest guy in the world, right? This farm, he's like living on like 200 acres. Like the whole family just pretty much farms for him. It's awesome. So I actually didn't sell them. They put Adam and Beth Ferrobaugh as their beneficiary. That sale was a sale I made at like 12 o'clock on Sunday. And it was another like, actually that was like a 5,000 ALP deal. And they gave me all the kids. I said, how do you keep track of all these 18 brothers and sisters? He said, well, I got this on the fridge and it had their name, their phone number and email and their birthdays. He said, I could just make another copy of this. You can just have this. I'm like, what? I lived literally for that month. Most of my business was their family. I took care of the whole family. And coincidentally, no problem. Coincidentally, she called me to add one of the kids accidental just recently. And I just did it. It was like $5. It wasn't anything crazy. But she had already paid like, what's 5,000? It was $400 some check. So that's how we become like a rainmaker. When you start to get these referrals, you get consistent. If you're constantly, you always have a place to go because you're always rolling. How frustrating is it when you go a whole day and you got no sits? It's the most frustrating thing in the world. You got to treat your time like it's worth $500 an hour. If you're sitting there at the office, twiddling your thumbs, nowhere to go, it's so frustrating. And I understand your frustration too. So roll the referrals. You're always going to have a place to be, a place to go, and you're going to have someone to see and someone you'll stumble upon 2,000. So let me end with this, the VIBs, value, important, brainstorm, and suggestions. So here's how you do it. At the very end, you say, all right, guys, so awesome. How, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think we did for you guys today? Okay, you got a 10 for Mary, and Joe, I didn't hear an answer from you. -2? All right, we're at an 8. Did pretty good, right? And they always laugh, whatever. So I say, all right, great. So I need to ask you a very important question. What value did you find in sitting with us today? Now it's what's called spin selling. You're not selling them. They're selling on why you did such a good job, Melissa, right? Why Shelly was over here rocking the term in whole life. And they're going to tell you, they're going to be like, honestly, I didn't know the difference between term and whole life. I didn't realize whole life had that much value. And you're like, okay, why do you say that? Get them to really build it up. All right, with all that being said, guys, I have a very important question I need to ask you. One, if they're going to take it more serious when you say, I have a very important question I need to ask. Two, it is a really important question. You're literally putting other people's lives in their hands. It's literally up to them to put the protection in place and up to them to decide on it. It's like playing God almost. So I would say it's an important question. I don't know. I have a very important question I need to ask you. With your permission, what I'd like to do, what we need to do, brainstorm just a couple people that you feel would be able to benefit. That's where the B comes in. Brainstorm, benefit the same exact way that you were able to benefit from the program. And here's the thing. They don't even have to be a part of the union because you can actually grandfather them in, you can sponsor them in, and they can still get that union negotiated rate. So who do you know, right? And this is where the S comes in. Suggestions. You don't want to just say that and think they're going to fall in your lap. They're going to look at you like a deer in the headlights, right? So you say, so I know, here's key. I'm giving you guys my freaking juice. Some of you guys need to freaking implement this. You say, so I know we're going to see your beneficiaries already, so we'll definitely take care of them. But other than your beneficiaries, who do you know that, just got married? You see what I just did? I just got the permission from the beneficiaries to do the insurance, and I didn't ask them. You're getting the permission without asking. You're like, other than the beneficiaries, because we have to see them regardless, who do you know that just got married, just had kids, just retired, owns a business? Just make a bunch of suggestions. Oh, I know. You said you had 7 brothers. Let's start with the oldest. Oh, what's the oldest one's name? Do you remember after having 7 brothers? I gotcha. Donald. Okay. Now he live around here? Okay. Now, one thing that I got from this book right here, Zig Ziglar, Selling 101, is he said, don't get a lot of information from each person right off the rip. You don't want to say, Donald, what does he do for a living? How old is he? Is he married? Because now they're going to be less likely to give you more referrals because you're getting all this information from one person. So just get a name and a number. Okay, who's next? Who's next? Get a bunch of names, then go back. Okay? If you got a name and a number, that's almost like a cold lead. Then you go back and you say, now, Donald's your oldest brother. Does that mean he's the most wise? All right, what does he do for a living? Okay. Oh, he's a carpenter as well? He's probably scheduled to see us anyways, right? Now you're getting a little bit more info. But don't start with a bunch of info at first because they're actually, no one will ever realize this. This is the psychology behind the referrals. They're not going to give you more people because they're going to say, I don't know anybody else. But really, it's because we asked for all this information on one person. Now they're like, all right, I don't want to give anybody else. So just get name, number, who's next? Name, number, who's next? Who's next? Who's next? Get it until it's exhausted. Then you can maybe say, go through your phones or whatever it is. Okay, and then you revert back and you say, all right, so Donald, he's your oldest brother. Give me some dirt on him. Make it fun. Give me some dirt on your brother. What did he do when he was younger? He wet the bed? All right, I'm not going to say all that. No, I was kidding. Just get something. Get something, right? He's got 3 Rottweilers like you do. You call up Donald. Hey, Donald, how's it going? It's Giovanni with American Income. How we doing? Oh, who am I? Yeah. I'm actually your brother's life insurance company. And I'm not going to lie. We sat down with him and his 3 Rottweilers felt like I was going to get bit through the freaking Zoom. And he told me you have 3 Rottweilers. Is that true? Now it's like, oh, okay. The trust is built. Remember, trust and credibility will be your biggest asset as a salesperson. Okay. So VIBs, value, important, brainstorm, suggestions, make those suggestions. I'm telling you guys, maybe rewatch this, maybe review your notes, practice this. I'm telling you, you need to know your script, and you need, if I was like, hey, I want you to just like memorize 2 things. It would be your physical script, and it would be the contingent and VIPs. If you master those 2, you will be a freaking beast. You know why? Because you're going to have the closing script, and you're always going to have activity. You could be the best closer in the world. If you don't have a place to be, you're not going to close anybody. Rebecca knows. She's been training with me. We've been closing everybody because the script is sick. But we need the activity. We need more sits. We had 3 sits the one day. We had 2 sales. The other day, we only had 1 sit. Luckily, we sold them, but that's not always going to happen. Then we had another sale the next day. We only had 1 sit. So we closed 4 for 4. It's not always going to be like that. Imagine if we got another 2 sits, Rebecca. We'd be at like 7,000 right now. But now we're going to get the referrals, right? So it takes time. You got to get the leads first, and then you get the referrals. Okay, guys? All right, guys. So I'll tell you what, hey, I really appreciate your time, your energy, your efforts, and really writing everything down. I saw a lot of people taking really good notes, really good questions as well. I'm telling you, we have to master this. It's not going to happen in a day, but I promise you it happens daily. Practice this every single day for the next 7 days. You know how long it takes to develop a habit? Does anybody know? How many days? How many days to develop a habit? It could be a good habit. It could be a bad habit, right? There's bad habits out there too.
21, right?
21.
21? According to a Harvard study, it's changed. 67. Yes. Who got that? Yes. It is 67 days. Good job. Good job.
On base, let's go.
So 67 days to form a habit. So if you're like, hey, I'm always late, start being on time for 67 days. You'll start to develop that habit. Your alarm clock won't even, you'll wake up before it probably. So 67 days to develop a habit. Do this for 67 days. It's like 2 months. Do this for 67 days. Watch what happens. You'll blow up your deal, double your production, double your income. Anytime you're having a problem, just sprinkle some ALP on it. Usually those problems get solved. All right? All right, guys. I appreciate you guys. I'm privileged and honored to be able to speak to you guys. And you guys are the future of this agency. Let's get it. All right. Let's go.
Yeah.
So,